my stubborn little Capricorn self. Onyx, what do you think? Good morning, everyone. So we're gonna be going to the Ren Faire. If you've been a part of my channel for a while, you will know that this is Charles and my Super Bowl. We look forward to going to the Ren Faire every single year, so we're very, very, very excited. Also a little bit nervous because it is incredibly toasty out right now, so I do have a little automatic fan that we're going to be able to use. It's not going to be a lot of cool air, but it's still going to be a nice amount. And as you can see, I'm dressed up. We also do have our water bottles because you can bring water bottles to the Ren Faire, and it's so important, especially when it's this hot, to go and hydrate, especially if you're like me and you have meds for your anxiety and depression. You especially have to make sure that you're drinking more water during these times. But yeah, so we're gonna go and get ready to go to the Ren Faire.
Sorry.
So we're gonna go to the Ren Faire today. I'm not quite sure how busy it will be, but it's gonna be the Celtic weekend, which is usually always the weekend that we end up going. It's a pretty decent sized event. We have never gone to the pirate weekend, although I love pirates so much. I've heard so many horror stories about going during that weekend. So we don't usually go then. Most of the time it's because we don't have free time whenever that weekend falls. But yeah, Celtic weekend and wine and revelry are the two weekends we usually go. But I'm excited to bring you along. This is my favorite time of the year. I love the Colorado Ren Faire. Highly recommend going if you ever get the chance. And always remember, huzzah to the tipper! Oh my gosh. Oh my God. They're just so cute. Hello everyone and happy Summerween. Things are a little bit interesting right now because here in Colorado, basically a huge portion of Colorado is on fire right now. And we have a lot of fireworks bans and fire bans in certain areas, especially the area that I live in. However, unfortunately, people are still setting off fireworks for whatever reason. So Charles and I are going to basically kind of split up the day of the 4th of July. His friend usually does a little barbecue get-together type of thing. They're not going to set off fireworks or anything. He's going to go to that, and I'm going to stay at home and stay with Nugget and the other fur babies. Nugget really does not like fireworks. She will visibly shake, and she gets absolutely terrified trying to go to the bathroom outside. So we just figured it would be best if one of us stayed at home. I also am one of those emergency people, and I got some little portable fire extinguishers, so I have that on hand too, just because I just want to be a little bit prepared, and it's always good to be a little over prepared and then things end up not happening. But anyway, I digress. I'm getting on a whole other subject, but I want to try my hardest to go and do Summerween, but at the same time do it at a pace that's gonna work for me. I have today off. Today is Friday, July 3rd. So what I'm gonna do is actually go and pick up a book by an author I haven't read a book by before. Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams. I double checked, and Although I do own some books by this author, I have never read their books before. So I was like, you know what, that would be perfect. I'm also working on painting my nails right now because we're gonna go and get dinner with my future mother-in-law. So I want to play some zombie games, just kind of decompress and everything. So I have kind of been bad about picking up the camera. Basically, the day that I started reading Her Last Breath, I listened to it while going and playing Project Zomboid, which was so much fun. Definitely plan on doing that again today. But later that day, we went to dinner with my mother-in-law and had some great food. I think I got a little clip of it that you might have seen. But the next day, I had a little bit of a sore throat. I don't know if it was from talking a lot because the location we went to eat at was very noisy and I had to talk louder, but there also was a lot of smoke from the fires. I have asthma and I got my asthma after COVID, and I think it might have been a mixture of both of those. So I kind of took things a little bit easier, and we also were doing a lot of prep around the house just because yesterday was the 4th of July and Nugget does not like fireworks. So we were kind of prepping and getting a lot of other things done and out of the way. So I didn't do much reading and didn't really record either. But I'm planning on doing some more reading today. I just haven't been doing the best with Summerween. I really, really wanted to. We'll see how things go because we have until Thursday, and I think it's doable. I think I can do it, but we'll see. We kind of have a busy week ahead of us because I have to go to the wedding venue with Charles. We basically are doing a meeting to just make sure that we have things all figured out, what are our remaining to-dos, all of that stuff. And then we also are celebrating one of our friends' birthdays at the end of the week, so we'll see how that goes. I still need to go and organize my bookshelves, but I just haven't really been in the mood. I also have my walking treadmill here, and I need to work on figuring out that and cleaning out my closet still, but that's gonna be stuff for later vlogs, so we're not gonna focus on that stuff. It works, it's nice enough for now. I'll organize it later. But yeah, just wanted to do a little bit of a check-in because I have not been doing any reading.
Yeah?
Just sliding. So we are heading to go and get my wedding dress fitted. I'm kind of dragging Charles with me. He's not going to be there with me in the dress and seeing what I look like, but I just didn't want to go alone. So there's a lot of shiny stuff on my face. So yeah, Charles is coming with me. I have a little bit of stress nausea, not gonna lie. I've been a little bit nervous about whether or not my dress will still fit me, so we'll see, but I've been a little bit stressed out. So fingers crossed things go okay, because I tend to have my weight fluctuate a lot, and this has been something I've been very nervous about. We're home now, and everything did go well. The dress fit perfectly. All I have to do is just get it hemmed and a bustle, and everything else didn't need to get refitted. The dress still fit perfectly, so that was a pleasant surprise. I was very happy about that. And of course, right after the dress stuff is done and get in the car, nausea's gone. So this whole time it's been stress nausea, which is incredibly frustrating. It is what it is. It's just further proof that I need to be as calm as I can the week of the wedding and just not let my anxiety and everything get the best of me, because then I'll make myself sick. The body is wild. That's all I can say. But Charles went over to a birthday party and I decided to stay home with Nugget just because I haven't been feeling well the past couple of days and would like to take it easy. So I'm just watching, I think it's an Indonesian zombie apocalypse show on Netflix. I just figured I'd go and have some couch time and watch that, and then when Charles gets home, Then we'll probably watch and play some video games or something. But it's just gonna be purely couch time, and I'm gonna take it easy. I'm not really in the mood to do any reading at the moment just because I've been feeling so icky, and I feel like I just need more stimulation. So yeah, it's gonna be just watching shows. Nuggie's gonna be on the couch when she's not eating her food, and we'll see how things go. Alright, so we have to talk. I kind of failed completely, and I feel like I'm a broken record with going and saying that I failed completely, but that was not my intention for this vlog. So I know it was all over the place with going to the Ren Faire, doing some video game stuff, attempts at Summerween, venting about the fireworks. It was just kind of like a month in our lives, basically. So I had full intentions to go and do Summerween. I was really excited for it. However, I got very stressed out, and if anyone else is not great with stress and anxiety and managing it, then you might understand. See, Nuggie's not good at stress or anxiety either. She's like, I'm out of here. But if you're not good about stress or anxiety either, you might understand. I basically have one of two things end up happening to me. I either have really bad tummy issues or I get stress nausea. And sadly, I ended up getting a lot of stress nausea this month. Between the smoke and that giving me asthma issues and some additional stress with wedding planning, I just kind of was KO'd for most of the month of July. I didn't really do a lot of the things that I set my mind to and had high hopes for going and completing. In some ways, I didn't do Summerween in the typical way, but in my own way, I did, with going and watching a bunch of horror movies, playing Project Zomboid. Like, a lot of that stuff is my escape and my go-to for comfort, especially when I'm really stressed out. So I did have a lot of fun going and doing that. And then Charles and I, as you saw, did go and start a separate playthrough for BG3. We've kind of been going and playing that together, especially just to take my mind off of a lot of stressful things that sadly have just made me very nauseous. And it's very annoying to know that it's all because of stress, because as soon as that stressful event is over with, the stress nausea is completely gone. So I hope that other people understand what I'm experiencing, but at the same time, I hope you don't, because it sucks and I don't want anyone to go through that. Up until the 16th of July, I had not finished a single book this entire month. I had started reading books, but I just couldn't go and continue them. And it was finally on Thursday, I did finally go and finish From the Grave by Cressley Cole. This is the very last book for the Arcana Chronicles. And I was like, you know what? I need to push myself and actually finish this book. And I'm proud to say I finally finished a book series. I think this actually technically is maybe the second book series I've finished, because The Shepherd King I finished a couple months ago. And y'all, I had so many mixed feelings on this. I won't go and do any spoilers or anything like that, but I did go and give a little bit of a brief description in one of my previous videos of what the Arcana Chronicles is about. So I'll include the image here, but this series basically includes tarot cards, post-apocalypse, games where one person has to be the winner, a lot of those types of vibes. And this was very much a story that I just glued myself to, because it had so many different pieces in books that I very much enjoy. And from the first book to this book, there was so many years in between and wondering if the series was actually going to finish or not, because I think I had the first book either in high school or at least like after I graduated high school. And then this book came out, I believe, in 2020, 2021, so during quarantine. So as you can tell, there's quite a few years in between when this book came out, and having to go and reread some of the books in the series and remembering what exactly happened. And yeah, it was just a little bit of a letdown. I feel like the author with this book was kind of dragging things out, and the pace was just really slow. And it was kind of that way in the previous books before this one as well. Everything was so drawn out and there wasn't really any action. And if there was, it would be like tiny little spurts here and there. So that was kind of the case with this one. And I was really surprised with how soon we reached the climax of the book, because that happened and then suddenly it was just like the rest of the book was this very, very long epilogue. And it was frustrating because in the other books we're fed a lot of the rules on how the game works and how things are supposed to be done. And so while you're reading these books, you have it in your mind like, okay, I have to remember that this and this is this way, and this can't happen because that goes against the rules. And it felt like the author just completely ignored some of those pieces. So a lot of this very long epilogue was very confusing and didn't line up. And the ending, how the author chose to end it, was also very unsatisfying. So out of all the books in the series, I rated this one the lowest because it's going to be one of those things where I'm like, okay, the last book in the series does not exist. Oh, Nuggy's now joining us. And then another book that I finished was actually last night, and it was Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams. This one originally was one that I was going to read for Summerween. I did not pick it up for multiple days, I think multiple weeks. And I finally finished it yesterday because my stubborn little Capricorn self was like, okay, we need to kick our booties into gear and actually read a few more books for this month so we have some more to talk about, and also so I can move on to doing some other video stuff. And I finished that one, and thankfully that one was very much a redemption since the other book was a bit of a letdown for this month. I really enjoyed it. The audiobook was a little bit of a hit or miss. I don't know if I'd really say I loved the voice that the narrator decided to go with for the characters, but I did really like the story overall. It was very claustrophobic feeling because in the story we basically have two best friends that decide to go caving, and one friend is very experienced whereas the other one is more of a beginner and a newbie. And we get two different kind of timelines, one where it's present day with everything happening, and the other one is where a character is basically recounting everything to the police and what happened and the accident that took place, and they're trying to go and piece things together and everything. And I think I'll leave the description there because I feel like with a lot of thrillers, they're more fun and more enjoyable the less you know going in. So if you know the premise, that's okay, but the more details you give, the more it takes away those surprising moments and letting you go and figure out what exactly happened. But I will say I was very, very happy with this book. I think this was actually the first book that I've read by Taylor Adams before, so I'm definitely excited to go and check out more by them. I have No Exit, and I think that's a book that might have been on a bingo board in the past, and I wasn't able to get to it, but I know there's either a movie or a TV show based on that book as well. And with a lot of things that I like to do, I like to usually read the book before watching the movie or TV show based off of it, just because I like getting more of the additional context that sometimes is missing from that live version. That is basically my little wrap up for what has transpired in the past few weeks that I haven't really included on my camera. I'm sorry that this vlog was all over the place. I did not mean that to happen, but I just am someone that does not handle stress well, and it really, really affects my body for the worst. It just kind of shows how powerful our minds are, and if we give our brains too much control and power over those things that are bothering us, then it can really affect us. So if you're also like me and dealing with a lot of stress right now, I hope this is just a gentle reminder for you to just take a breath, go and enjoy something that brings you lots of joy, whether or not it's going and curling up on the couch with a fur baby like Nugget, for me for example. I love getting to curl up with her. Or playing some video games, whether or not they're a cozy farming sim or a survival game like Project Zomboid, and then maybe a movie that you enjoy as well. I've seen some people that aren't summer lovers and them doing some other additional stuff on top of Summerween and kind of decorating for the fall and watching some specific fall movies like Hocus Pocus and having fall snacks. I really like those vibes too, and just like finding anything that brings you joy, especially right now. So yeah. I hope you liked this very all over the place vlog, and I hope that I'm able to do something a little bit more organized in our next video. But I think our next video is going to be a Love It or Lose It, because I owe 2 of those after our recent Defend the TBR for July. So I have obviously not touched any of the books that I have mentioned in that Defend the TBR video. So here's hoping that will end up happening. And if you're interested in going and watching that, please go and subscribe, leave a like, go and hype. All of that really helps support my channel so much. And as always, especially if you need this reminder right now, please remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.
Say bye, Nuggie.